Anthony Davis had for 40 and 20 in just 3 quarters of play. He did complain about shoulder pain. I want to get to in a second. What was your career high in a game? What were the most points you ever scored?
33.
33,
Yeah.
which is awesome. That's really impressive.
And that was like a full 40. Like I played like 40.
Right. Well, I was going to say, because when we read our update, he had 26 free throw points.
No,
that to me isn't absurd. Like, that's crazy. But when you're that type of physical imposing presence and you play around the rim that much, you get those types of calls, you get 26 points in the paint.
I mean,
that's insane.
Look, I'm not knocking. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched bits and pieces of this. He is a problem, and he's going to be especially problematic for a team like the Grizzlies, like a young Jaren Jackson kind of out there trying to guard him, and Valanciunas isn't mobile enough necessarily to really handle what he does. So he's going to be – but that's a lot of free throws, man.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of free throws. I'm not saying he didn't deserve them because I didn't see them all, but that's a lot of free throws.
And to his credit, a lot of bigs struggle with it. He's made 26 of 27,
Absolutely.
Which is really impressive.
And 20 boards is work too. Like
yeah.
that's a lot of work in 30 minutes.
No doubt about it. So he's the first Laker. All I said in a second, but I'll just give a stat. First Laker with 40 and 20 since Shaq did it in 2003, and the 6th Laker ever to do it, joining some pretty exclusive company: Wilt, Shaq, Kareem, Elgin Baylor, and George Mikan.
No, those are look.
I knew the Mikan drill when I was growing up. I hated that thing.
I just found out before the show George Mikan was undrafted. Is that correct, Joey?
I think it is. Yeah, he did have that up
George
as a tweet.
I said this before about AD. That's correct. All right, thanks. I said this before about the Lakers not playing through AD necessarily. When he has numbers like that, like it'll tempt you. It'll tempt me to be like, man, maybe you play. But I do feel like the 40 and 20, as much as he led them in terms of point production and stuff, I don't feel like they necessarily played. When I hear playing through someone, like you're giving them the ball, they are initiating offense either for themselves or someone else. So you're coming down, AD take that thing, everybody else kind of plays off of that, and he's going to go to work.
Not isolation? Is it different than isolation?
No, it can be off of an ISO, right? Or it can be where he's just your primary decision maker with the ball. Whatever else is going on around, he's the facilitator. So, he's got the best matchup, and he's going to determine whether it's either his job to score it or it's better off getting it somewhere else because he's drawn some sort of double team or created a mismatch. I still feel like even when he's having these 40 and 20s, their best bet isn't to play purely through him. It's to let him go to work when he's got the mismatch. But you're coming down and LeBron is your decision maker, right? Because when you're playing through someone, they got to be your best decision maker, your best, IQ player, the guy who can, and LeBron is that. So, this is what LeBron had to hope was going to happen when he came over. Like, I got a guy who go off for 40 and 20 on any given night, and those are nights that I can almost take off in terms of having to really
carry the load,
which is going to help him in the long run. But you got to resist the temptation to see those numbers and say, hey, we're just going to come down and just give AD the ball, and everybody else is going to be complimentary to that.
How concerned are you about him complaining about shoulder soreness? Some injuries have plagued him somewhat throughout his career.
Yes.
Concern?
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to be if you've had a track record of injuries like AD has had. He was complaining really early in that game, and so I guess I would say my concern is eased a bit in that I saw him doing it in the first quarter, and he wound up with 40 and 20, 26 and 27 free throws, so it didn't bother him that much.
Right.
But anytime you got a guy out there that's pawing at it and complaining at it, you got to be concerned.
No doubt about it.